All right, y'all, let's get it, man. We're talking San Francisco 49ers players in the top 100. They got a few guys on there, and I'm going to tell you why it's a little unique. Also, Trey Lance, Deebo Samuel, they're trying to build this report right now, but it's just a little off, resulting in several interceptions. Can they get it together? And what to make of practice at this point? We're going to talk about all that and more right here on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. You know what time it is, man. Let's go.
It is picked off by Eric Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker, and I'm here today to talk, you already know, man, all things pertaining to the San Francisco 49ers. I always shout this show out, but make sure y'all listen to Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. Come at you 5 days a week. That's more structured and great conversation between Brian Peacock and I, my co-host. This is more structured as a radio show. So if you are new to this and you're clicking in and you're listening for the first time, man, it's a chill, relaxed vibe, and we try to just make sense of everything going on. I get my perspective. I love hearing y'all perspectives. I bring the fans on. Y'all talk. I don't even want to call y'all fans. Fam. I bring the fam on, everybody that's in the chat, and we discuss what's going on with the 49ers and listen from all perspectives. So let's do it. We're going to do this for the next hour and a half. I see the flames coming in already. Let's go. Here we go. Amy, I see you. My coffee is getting cold. Crocker, where you at? My bad. Listen, you said this at 8:15. We go live at 8:30. And when I say 8:30 Central Time, I know a lot of y'all are Pacific, so 6:30 a.m. Pacific. You're early. You're up early, huh, Amy? Let's go. I was up early, got my little workout in. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been putting the little videos out. I'm trying to get into the whole Reels on Instagram. I'm trying to build that up, and I got my gym and everything, so I'm trying to make everything work. You feel me? All right, but shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I see the flames coming in. This is a mental health check right here. All right, we got 5 flames. If you're feeling good, feeling great, let's go. Greetings. Here we go for the 6th championship incoming. Here we go. 5 flames for my mentors. Let's go. Okay, and he said for the 6 championships, man, there's a lot of high expectations for the 49ers. I don't know what my expectations are because the 49ers have a quarterback who just hasn't played, but this is definitely a really good roster, and definitely as we get into how many players they have on the top 100, I think it's very clear why the expectations for your San Francisco 49ers are so high. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. All right, and shout out to all my people. Here we go. Got some Arkansas. Oh, my dog Jared. I was gonna say got some Arkansas people in here. Top of it, brother, NorCal to Arkansas. So that's my dog right there, Carter. He from Sacramento. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Stockton, Real 209, and he's up in Little Rock. I'm down here in Monticello. So we're close, about an hour away from each other here, about 35, 40 minutes away from each other when we are back in California. But we here, baby. We here. Hey, Carter, you got to tell people, man, it's not as bad as people think here in Arkansas. And they call this one of those, they call it like a flyover state, where it's like the state everybody like flies over and skips over. I think there's a lot of people that don't even know where Arkansas is on the map. It's like, man, where the hell is Arkansas? And I'd say there's 2 parts to Arkansas. There's so he's central. So my dog Carter, he's central. I'm southeast. And I'd say the more north you get, it's a little bit more like Midwest-ish. You know what I'm saying? Especially once you go up by Fayetteville, that's where like the Razorbacks are. But where I live, I'm in the dirty South. I am in the dirty South. All right. I'm like 30 minutes from Mississippi, 30 minutes from Louisiana. I'm in the sticks. I'm in the dirty South. It's a little different down here. All right, we got some 870 right here, El Dorado. And it's funny, y'all say El Dorado. Where I'm from, we say El Dorado, but you and I, we share the same area code. Let's go. But shout out to all my people that's in the chat already. And it's time to talk some 49er football. So let's have at it. There have been several San Francisco 49er players named to the top 100 list already. Starting off with Kyle Juszczyk at number 100. All right, and I was like, okay, cool. You see Juice, get him some love. And obviously he's been the best fullback in the league for some years now. His usage for the 49ers, I feel like, I don't know if you could use him any more than they already do. You know, when you take into consideration all the other weapons that they have, the pass catchers, the 49ers haven't been a team that just throws the ball around a ton, and they don't really run the ball with him a whole lot. So, but with what he does, he's great at. Terrific lead blocker, even for not being the biggest of guys. Terrific pass catcher, unless you ask some of these people that, I don't even want to bring up 10, but I'm going to start calling him 10. I'm not going to say Jimmy Garoppolo because people get real tight when you start talking about Jimmy, but Jimmy missed that pass against the 10 missed that pass against the Tennessee Titans to Kyle Juszczyk. And people were like, oh, Kyle Juszczyk, look how he tried to turn around and catch the ball, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So if you ask them, they might say he's not a great pass catcher, but I think he's a terrific pass catcher, really good out there in space. He lands there at the number 100 spot. Then you got Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward would be a lot higher if he had more interceptions. There are not a lot of safeties in the league that can do what Jimmy Ward does. I think, when I say not a lot, I mean, man, who can't? Buda Baker, maybe Derwin James, he's a freak. Minka Fitzpatrick. And I think the biggest difference between Minka and like Jimmy Ward is Minka could do everything that Ward does, and he takes the ball away. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Minka's viewed as one of, if not the best safety in the league. You got Derwin James, some of these other guys. Maybe Harrison Smith. I think Harrison Smith, I don't think you'll ask him to do what you ask Jimmy Ward to do, but still another guy that's really heady, does a really good job there. But Jimmy Ward's very unique. And again, if he was getting 3-4 interceptions a year, he'd be viewed as top 3 safety in the league because of what they ask him to do. And I don't even know if fans understand how difficult of job and what they ask him. I mean, it's like, dude, go play man on this slot. Go play man on this tight end. And not only can he play man on anyone, he does it at a very high level. Like if somebody told me that Jimmy Ward is the best cover guy on the 49ers, like best pure man cover guy on the 49ers, I wouldn't argue against that at all. Like, he's that good. And typically, you don't get that from safeties. And that's not to knock anybody else on the San Francisco 49ers. But Jimmy Ward, man, like, he's legit. And he's kind of grown into being, like, one of my favorite players to watch. Just because of the versatility, the usage, the way he throws his body around. I like when I hear him kind of, like, mic'd up and stuff, and you kind of hear the trash talk. And I'm like, I like Jimmy. And then I feel like over the last year or so, he's really shown more personality going live on Instagram and just the way he carries himself. I'm like, this is a big dog. Some of my homies, man, why he carry himself like he Dion? Like, how y'all want him to carry himself? Like he a poodle? Like, man, Jimmy that nigga, bro. I love watching Jimmy Ward, and I like the player that he has developed into. And I will say, I was very critical of Jimmy Ward to start his career, not for his play, but for his nasty swag. Oh my gosh, it was so disgusting. It was so disgusting. So much so that I remember hitting up Tremaine Brock. And I was like, Tremaine Brock, can somebody please tell this dude Jimmy Ward, get his swag together. It was so nasty. And if y'all remember, Brandon Marshall dogged him, right? Rookie year, scored 3 touchdowns on Jimmy Ward. And I think a lot of it had to do with what Jimmy Ward looked like. Man, he had the 6th grade Pop Warner face mask, and helmet. He had these huge shoulder pads. I gotta show y'all this shit, man, because you can't make this up. Or I mean, it was just, everything about it was just stink. That's the best way to describe it. Jimmy Ward, rookie, 25. All right, he was number 25. He's won a few different numbers for the Niners, huh? You know what? I say he's won a few different numbers. I think he was even a different number to actually start with the 49ers, like training campers. I think he wore like a number 40-something number. All right, but hold on, man. I got to share the screen on this. I mean, it is disgusting. It's disgusting. Where is it at? Here we go. Chrome tab. Yep, Jimmy Ward. Boom. All right, can y'all see that? This where I have them right here. I don't know if y'all. I mean, look, shoulder pads. I mean, they're huge. Face mask, nasty. I mean, goodness gracious. Like, look, what kind of mouthpiece is that? And then he has nothing on his arms at all, and that's cool. But when you don't wear nothing on your arms, like, bro, you can't have them big ass shoulder pads. He got the team issued socks. I mean, he got the mid-top cleats. Everything about Jimmy Ward was just stank. That's the only way I can really describe it. All right. So when you look at how he got, you know what I'm saying, he kind of got dogged a little bit by Brandon Marshall. I think that's why. Look at him. He looks like a Pop Warner player. But since then, swag done went way up. And I feel like the more his swag go up, the more he talks. So let's kind of review Jimmy Ward now. You know, what does Jimmy Ward look like now? Man, the aesthetics, is that what they say? Of how it look. Oh my goodness. Like, come on, man. Like his drip, everything about it. Now, he done changed his helmet a couple times. I was a big fan of the when he wore the shut. But regardless, I mean, we're talking about a much drippier player now. Much drippier. I mean, see this when he wore the shut. Look at the shoulder pads smaller. Got the little wrist tape on. You don't got to do too much. Got the pacifier mouthpiece. You ain't got to do too much. Now he's in that one. Okay, now look, some of the stuff, I wouldn't wear it exactly how he does. But regardless of whatever, I mean, you could see like he cares now. And I feel like the more he started to care, now look, 96, you know what I'm saying? Get ranked 96. He should be higher. Should be higher. He just don't got the interceptions, so they don't show him as much love. But yeah, Jimmy Ward, one of the big dogs, and I think a lot of it started changing when he started upping his swag. I'm sorry, I had to go into that. Somebody said his draft suit was crazy. Look, I don't even want to look at his draft suit. I don't even want to look at the draft suit. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Shout out to Drew from 209. Let's go. Let's go. Somebody said, oh my gosh, why he was out there looking like Lawrence Taylor. Hey, Jimmy Ward, because I think Jimmy Ward, I think he tunes into stuff. And this is not a shot, Jimmy. So don't come, you know what I'm saying? Don't come at me or anything like that. I don't want no problems. But Jimmy Ward, this is not a shot. This is me really showing love because just to see the growth. And there's another guy I used to get on too. I used to get on DJ Reed. And DJ Reed was so nasty. Oh my gosh, it was so nasty. And we've been following each other. I've had him on here as well. And Jimmy Ward and I DJ Reed, I've had him on here. And we started interacting because I started off making fun, like, bro, why do you look like that on the field? Like, he looked crazy. He had on number 40 or something like that in the preseason. Nasty face, man. Oh, it was so bad. I was like, dude, you got to change this. And he hit me. He's like, bro, I'm not going to change it. Since then, you look at DJ Reed, rookie year, you look at DJ Reed now. Look, there's a reason. I'm trying to tell y'all. Rookie year, did y'all like DJ Reed? Probably not, right? Because I'm telling you, the drip was nasty. All right, now, look at DJ Reed now. $33 million he just got from the Jets. Why? Because his drip is through the roof. Wearing number 2, swagged up, different face. I mean, he's clean. And I messaged him. I told him, like, bro, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And I'm telling you, it's the drip. It's the drip. Look good, play good. I'm trying to tell y'all. But anyways, back to this top 100. So Jimmy Ward, number 96, should be higher. He just don't have the interception numbers for people to really grasp exactly his impact for the 49ers. But there aren't a lot of safeties in the league that do what Jimmy Ward does. All right. Fred Warner, number 47. Again, maybe it's my 49er biasness, but I think he could be a little higher. And he was last year. So I guess that lets you know that they just feel there was a little bit of drop off from his play. And I think a lot of people would say, the little drop off makes it to where he's number 47 now, whatever. Now, here's the one I disagree on. Number 25, Nick Bosa. And again, these rankings, they don't mean much, right? 49ers, they're going to do their thing. They got these players and whatnot. But Nick Bosa at number 25, I just think he's better than that. Now, we got to use context here, all right? I'm from Stockton, California. In California, we don't view Stockton as like a big city, right? But Stockton is one of the, and when it comes to like, as a whole United States, it's been kind of known to be like around 60, right? Like the 60th largest city. So that means if there's 50 states and California is like the 13th biggest city, Stockton's the 13th biggest city in California in the 60 states, that means there's going to be states where Stockton would be the biggest city in that state. There's several of them, right? There's several states where Stockton would be the most populated city in that state. And I guess from that perspective, it's like, okay, maybe it's not as small. So when you look at this and you see a guy like Nick Bosa and he's at number 25, well, there's 32 teams in the NFL. So with him being at 25, they're saying on several teams, Nick Bosa would be your best player. And I'd say most people would say there's an argument for him to be the best player on the San Francisco 49ers. All right. But being 25, I don't think I saw somebody say, man, it's a slap in his face. I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah, I believe he should be higher. And I'd say this is the year where he starts to be viewed more so as a guy that is much higher. I mean, dude had 15 and a half sacks coming off a torn ACL. Come on, man. Did not receive one comeback player of the year vote. Now, listen, I get it. Joe Burrow tore his ACL, was out 9 games, whatever, came back, and they went to the Super Bowl. So if you want to give Joe Burrow comeback player of the year, I get it. But damn, Nick Bosa can't get one comeback player of the year vote? Not one? That's wild. That is wild. So you got Nick Bosa, then you got George Kittle at number 22. And I think that's about right. That's about right. Now, I guess the argument is he the best player on the 49ers? And with Nick Bosa at 25, George Kittle at 22, there are 2 49er players that still have not hit the top 100. And that is Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. And they will 100%. They will 100% be on this. So now, let's put some things into context here. All right. You got 7 players from the 49ers who will be in the top 100. All right. Now, that's 7 players in the top 100. You got to remember, man, there's, let's see, active roster, 53 men on each roster, 32 teams. That's 1,696 players. And the 49ers have out of the top 100. Again, if you divide, 100 into 32, right? Because that's how many teams there are. That's 3 per team on average. Now, we know each team don't have a top 100 player, but that would be 3. Well, the 49ers have 7. They eat up 7 of those spots. So I think that leads you to believe, like, do the 49ers have the most top 100 players on their roster? That's the territory we're entering right now. So when people talk about the expectations of this team and you got a young quarterback, I think that's why. 7 players in the top 100. All right. So Deebo, Trent Williams, are they both going to be top 10? Like, that's crazy. And crazy in the good way. Like, that your roster is hella good. And I think most people would say, yeah, well, actually, let's talk about that a little bit. I assume because of this, the 49ers have one of the best rosters in the league. Because they're not just top heavy. I think, yeah, they have these 7 great players. And then outside of that, they have a lot of good players. Like Eric Armstead, really good, right? Emmanuel Mosley, Travarius Ward, good players, really good. You look at guys like Brandon Ayuk, who's going to contribute. Running back room, like they're going to, like the 49ers. I've seen some lists that don't have a 49ers with a top 10 roster, and I think it's ridiculous. And that's not just me like being biased. I think that's just, you got 7 players in the top 100, and you got a pretty good roster all the way around. Now, the offensive line, we'll see. We talked about that. 3, maybe 4 new guys on the O-line. Not ideal. But just in general, 49ers have a terrific roster. And that's why the expectations are so high. All right. But definitely want to dive into the top 100 real quick. And not bad. 49ers, they got some love on here. They got some love. I'm hot as hell in here right now. Mustache sweating and shit. I worked out this morning, you know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm still like, took a hot shower, blood still flowing a little bit. All right, but anyways, appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now, man. We got over 200 of y'all viewing live right now. If you're new to the show, man, you know what I'm saying? Get your, coffee and Crocker. I like when people put that. That's what we should call this. I call it the morning show. It should be coffee and Crocker. No, that's a little much. That's a little. I imagine there are women watching right now, and it's like, the dude asking, "What are you doing?" "Oh, nothing, just coffee and Crocker." I'm like, who the fuck is Croc? All right, now don't get me beat up or shot or anything. Hey, dudes gotta stop tripping over like women to that extent, man. Like killing dudes and stuff like that. That stuff crazy. I just saw something on like from Stockton. I was like, wow. I was like, damn, y'all killing dudes over a girl. Not nothing against girls, but coffee with Crocker. Okay, there we go. Okay, I could do that. All right. It do got a nice ring, huh? We're gonna start, man. Welcome to Coffee with Croc. All right. All right. Appreciate all y'all, man, in here. I love y'all, man. Y'all got my mornings starting off right. Now that's worse than Jimmy's shoulder pads. Right. All right, here we go. Got a question from K. Ken Ortega. Question, Croc. Why media quick about Trey in practice? Yeah, I saw Patriots offense looking mediocre, but no one talking about Mac the same way. Let's get to that. Let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers practice reports. Trey Lance, who I believe he completed. We've talked about this before, and I guess I'll leave this up because it pertains to the next topic, but I'll take it down. We have talked about this before. I'd say, and this is just my perspective, all right? And I hate that I come off, because when I come on here and talk to y'all, I come on here to try to make sense of reports. I come on here to try to make sense of what I'm seeing, and I explain it in a way that hopefully it makes sense to other people. And I try to be as non-objective as possible. Now, obviously, for certain things, I might have a little bit more leeway one way or the other, but for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty fair, and I try to be non-biased. I've been on here and I've gotten ripped for being a Jimmy sexual, and you always defend Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's like, nah, like, just what are your expectations for him, right? And I do the same for Trey Lance or anybody else. I have I don't want to say a bad habit, but I always see the best in everyone. That's just how I view things. I'm a glass half full type guy. So if you show me a glass and you're like, is it half full or half empty? It's half full. And that's just the way my mind works. So until you truly show me, and I remember defending Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And I gave him, we're talking about, 4.5 years of trying to figure out who is Jimmy G. And I'd say towards the end of it, you just started to figure out who exactly he was. And it was like, solid quarterback, right? But it took me 4 years to come to that conclusion. I had buddies telling me, man, he's trash. And it's like, bro, Jimmy's not trash. I had buddies telling me that all the time from the jump. You had everybody on social media jumping on Jimmy Garoppolo, not social media, excuse me, the media, TV people jumping on Jimmy G. And they're like, replace him with Kirk Cousins, replace him with this person, replace him with Tom Brady. And I'm like, dude, why y'all everybody trying to replace Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, he just finally started. You know what I'm saying? He's finally getting starts. Let the dude, learn the offense and figure it out. Well, after 4 years or so, you start to figure out who he is. And it took a while. And it was just like, okay, I don't think I think this is it, right? Like, this is the cap to him. Well, when it comes to Trey Lance, or anyone, but Trey Lance, let's talk about practice first. When training camp started, I hold a lot of the reports, or even when I was there and whatever I'm seeing from practice, and I'm like, okay, what does it look like? Where is he at in his development, right? And that's what this is all about. Where is Trey Lance in his development? And I don't know about y'all, but I know me. I never looked at this as a 1 year project. Now, with him being a project, I think project sounds bad. It's not like you just can't win with whatever he is, right? You can. So I just looked at it like, we're not going to see the final product of what Trey Lance is this year. And I never expected to see that. Now, again, I don't know about y'all, but I never expected to see that. Like, I never expected to see just, oh man, he's completing 80% of his passes in every single practice, which is crazy that people keep stats in practice. And I've talked about that. I played a lot of football. Y'all see my helmet behind me, jerseys, all that stuff, right? I played a lot of football. And I can't remember one time. And I can't remember not one time. Not once in all my years of playing football. Pop Warner, I only played 1 year at Pop Warner, but Pop Warner, high school, junior college, the other junior college I went to, shout out to MJC, went to Delta College too in Stockton. But junior college, the university I went to, my rookie year in the Arena League, playing with the Jets, back in the Arena League, number 1 overall pick in the Arena Draft, playing with the SaberCat. Not one time in all the years I played football did I ever recall anyone keeping stats in practice. So to me, this was like something kind of new. The first time I ever heard of keeping stats in practice, the first time was when it was Colin Kaepernick and Blaine Gabbert, when they had like a competition in training camp. I think this was after, and I think it was the offseason where Colin Kaepernick had like the finger. Remember, he had all them surgeries. I'm like, damn, this dude bandaged all up, finger, shoulder, knee, all that. But he had all these little surgeries or whatnot. And I don't know if he would have been on the team if not for the surgeries. But anyways, I remember them keeping stats in practice then. That was the first time I ever heard of it. Because I've always, the way I came up and what I saw, practice is essentially practice. Again, I think we have looked up what the definition of practice is, but we're going to look it up again. Practice definition. Here we go. Hold on. All right. Perform an activity or exercise a skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. Again, it's practice, y'all. To perform an activity or exercise, a skill, repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. All right. And in my mind, like, that's what practice is for. Like, you practice, you do different things, you try to get better, etc. So I look at practice as just that. So the stats, it's always about what it looks like. What are we trying? What are we trying to do? There are several things in practice that I remember us doing. All right, hey, here's the game plan for this week. We want to do this, do that, etc. And then we realize, coach, this is not working. Like, this not working against what we were supposed to be doing. So then, okay, we might have to scrap that and change some things up a little bit. And then come game day, we have a different kind of game plan, right? You go on with an idea and it's like, that coach, let's try this. And then you go on to game day and, you know what I'm saying? And then you kick ass, you know? And I'm not just saying that. Feel me? I got to, y'all see this. You feel me? I learned a lot this year. San Jose SaberCats. That's a championship right there. All right. But anyways, we were very well prepared. But what we use practice to improve and get better. So it's been very interesting to see the stat keeping, or, Trey Lance, he threw 3 interceptions, or Jimmy Garoppolo, he threw 5 interceptions. And here, Jimmy threw 5 interceptions in practice, and now there are people using that, right? Well, Trey Lance threw 3 picks. Well, Jimmy threw 5. And it's like, who cares? Who cares what Jimmy did? Because you know what? Jimmy never threw 5 interceptions in the game. You know what I'm saying? Now, were there times where Jimmy missed, whatever? Okay, whatever. But I never thought too much about that practice. Here's what I took away from that practice with Jimmy Garoppolo. One, I did think it was weird that he threw 5 consecutive interceptions. Like, that was weird, right? It's like he threw 5 straight passes and it was 5 interceptions. That was weird. But outside of that, I did not care. What does he look like in the game? Now, he played in the game against the Denver Broncos and shit looked weird. It did, right? I think he was like 0 for 3 with an interception. He had like a 0.00 passer rating or whatever it was. It was something crazy, right? But he was recovering from the knee, and it was clear like he didn't trust it and whatnot. But I did not care about the 5 interceptions in practice. I just didn't care. And because I didn't think like that's what is going to happen in the games. So when we see Trey Lance and he throws 3 interceptions, while targeting Deebo Samuel. And we'll talk about kind of their connection and whatnot. But when I see him throw 3 picks, it's just like, okay, like, and this is how my mind works. You see the reports. Trey Lance, he threw 3 interceptions in practice and he completed 9 out of 15 passes. And it's like, and I see it, and I'm like, okay, like, what was he trying to do? That's where my mind goes. Not, oh man, he is a failure. Oh no, he's not right. Like, no. What was he doing? Oh, okay, threw a little bit. Okay, did this. Damn, all 3 while targeting Deebo. Okay, they're working on their connection and whatnot. That's it. And I'd assume that's how most people see it, but clearly it's not. Because I saw people hosting spaces about it. I saw people doing this and doing that. Then everybody got to try to come to his defense. Why you got to come to his defense? It's practice. Why you got to make all these posts about, Trey Lance? Well, listen, guys, no time to panic. No. Why you even have to make a post about it? You can't find not one tweet about me saying anything about Trey Lance's practice. Matter of fact, I'm not so sure. I think the only tweet you can find from me about Trey Lance's practice, and y'all know I'm pretty active on Twitter, right? I'm pretty active on Twitter. The only time I really have said much of anything is like when I was there, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. Like, okay, he overshot a deep ball did this, did that. But I looked at practice just to see like where's he at in his development. There was good plays, there was bad plays. Okay, he's cool. And it's really, I don't know, the microscope that he's under is I don't want to say, I don't think I've seen anything like this. It's almost like LeBron James. LeBron James is on, I'm hot in here. LeBron James is under a serious microscope. Serious microscope. And look, I'm not a LeBron James fan. I'm a Laker fan. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Laker fan. I'm but I've always been a Laker fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. Y'all see it. You know what I'm saying? But I'd say LeBron, out of anybody that most professional athletes, I'd say LeBron, like the microscope he's under to be perfect. LeBron has to be perfect. I'll give him that. And if he's not, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it, right? Anything LeBron does, everybody's talking about it. Like he's under this serious microscope. And I'd say Trey Lance, the microscope that Trey Lance is under is it's not as big as LeBron. And LeBron, again, I mean, coming out of high school, he had to be perfect. The microscope Trey Lance is under it's a step below that for sure, maybe a few steps, but it's higher than most I've ever seen. In the sense of every single thing, everything that Trey Lance does, I mean, literally everything, every pass that he throws, everything gets dissected by everyone. Every day there's talk shows and they're talking about Trey Lance. Oh, can he do this? Can he do that? And it's crazy. Like the narrative kind of changes. It's like, oh, he goes out and he does well against Green Bay Packers backups or whatever, right? But he makes some good throws and it's like, oh, Super Bowl, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it goes both ways. But then there's practice and it's like, I look at my timeline and I'm like, damn, yeah, y'all spending a lot of time on this practice shit. Y'all spending a lot of time. I kind of like this look right here. Y'all can't see the Lakers shit, but man, y'all know what it is, man. It's real gang shit. All right. But I come on here to say, and again, when we first watched him or looked at numbers or whatever in training camp, to me it was just where's he at in his development. Now I have the games to gauge him on. Like the 49ers play Thursday. So why do I care about a practice report? The 49ers play, like I just watched them in the game. And you know what? The crazy thing, and again, I said this is not a 1 year thing for me in the sense of where he's at. I feel like, this is why I feel. He's good enough to win games. Are there areas where he's not exactly ideal? I would say yes. His accuracy is a little off. And being a little off in the NFL can, like, that can be the difference between a big gain and interception or whatever, right? So that's something he has to improve on. But in the process, he still makes enough plays to where they're going to win games. I strongly feel that way. And I don't think that that's something that's going to be corrected this year. So everybody can hold on to every single throw and it's like, me, I'm just not. So if you come on here and you expect me to dissect every single throw and hang on to every single rep, like, no, I don't expect him to be pinpoint accurate. I expect him to throw a high pass here and there. I expect him to do this. And the only reason why I expect it is because that's what he has shown us. And that's where I feel like he is in his development right now. Now, again, this is not a 1 year process. So I expect him next offseason to get in the lab, get the feet right, and tie the feet to the arm and the sequence and all that, whatever the hell they say, get in the and start completing or be more efficient in that part of his game. But I'm not going to hang on to every single practice note and say, oh, well, he threw this. Well, yeah, he's been throwing high passes. The fuck you expect? Like, he's been throwing high passes. He will continue to throw high passes this year. Next year, I can't wait to see him go into the offseason and, okay, do you work on the feet and get in sync to throw those? And now you're a little bit better on your drive throws outside the numbers and over the middle. I also believe that Kyle Shanahan can game plan around that. He game planned around Jimmy Garoppolo, who didn't really like to throw outside the numbers or down the field. And Kyle was like, okay, I can put an offense together for you to where, okay, you still might throw some picks or whatever, but we are winning ball games. And that's all that matters. Where is he at in his development? This is really kind of year one for him in the sense of really getting that on-field experience, like really playing every single rep, working on improving, getting better. That's one thing that I really liked about him. I feel like he hasn't made a lot of the same mistakes repeatedly, but the accuracy, that will be something that I don't think will be fixed this year. He's going to have to continue at it and work every offseason on getting a little bit better at it. And then before you know it, he'll be what you want. I still believe this year they can do enough to win games. So shout out to everybody in the chat right now, man. We got over 300 of y'all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. I haven't been able to look in the chat because I look at my camera right there. So, and it's kind of probably good because probably would throw off my concentration a little bit. Now I'm going to give y'all a chance to come on live. Excuse me, a little burp. All right, come on live and you guys, whatever y'all want to talk about. Here we go. And boom, and boom. There we go. And space, and boom, and let me copy that whole thing though. I hope that made sense. I hope what I just said made sense to y'all. I hope that made sense. Anyways, appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Let's go. So far, we talked about 49 players in the top 100. We're talking about Trey Lance. We're talking about practice. And again, practice is not insignificant. You do practice to get better. But I just think there's a certain part of his game where we're not going to see that huge jump in the development of Trey Lance this year. So that's just how I see it. So I mean, if y'all expect me to come on here and make a big deal out of every throw in practice, not going to do it. Good morning, Gammon. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Croc?
I'm kind of hot. I'm cooking in here right now. I don't know why. But
It's all that hot molten lava that you're spitting this morning.
Oh, hot molten lava. I need to drink some water.
Yeah. Probably the Heat too, trying to defend LeBron James and the Lakers probably doesn't help either.
Well, it's Laker game, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not even defending LeBron. I'm just kind of stating the obvious, right? Like who is under a bigger microscope than LeBron James? I'm not a LeBron James fan. Who's under a bigger? Okay, this is a nice little exercise. I want you to answer that. Who is under a bigger microscope than LeBron James in professional sports?
In professional sports,
yeah.
I mean, I think if we were leaving outside of basketball and we were going into really any kind of sport right now, I mean, I really think it comes down to like football players and what you're looking at, but. I don't think LeBron James is under the most amount of scrutiny. I think Kevin.
So who is?
I think Kevin Durant is under more scrutiny than LeBron James. I mean, if we're being honest about it,
scrutiny and microscope, those are two different things.
I would say under the microscope as well. I mean, he's gotten a lot of flack and a lot of heat, especially when it comes down to this offseason. They're both in huge markets that they're playing in, right? One's in New York, one's in LA. But I think there's comparable ones. But yeah, I think overall for his career, sure. I mean, it's gonna be huge. But you know what though? I just want to rep the Sacramento Kings. They're gonna be your new NBA champions this season. Go ahead and book it. You don't
believe that?
No, I don't. But I do like them. But what I did want to say though, Croc, is context is for numbers and perspective is for storylines. So storyline, right? Trey Lance throws 3 interceptions and he can't complete a pass over the middle. Perspective, no quarterback in this league should be able to throw over the middle when we're considered to have 3 Pro Bowl type caliber linebackers, a dominant front 4 that can really get after the quarterback. And this is the best secondary that we've had really ever. When you think about the best corners that we had Carlos Rogers, then it went to Tremont Brock, right? Now we've got Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward. I yesterday, so I said this offense was going to be clunky the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season. Somebody in chat said your take is clunky. Few hours later, Trey Lance ends up throwing 3 interceptions, and the big reason why I said that was I said look at the continuity of the coaching staff just on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. When Trey Lance came back into camp to start the season, the only person who he had any type of communication with on the offensive side for the coaching staff was Kyle Shanahan, right? Defensive side, it was completely different. So his quarterbacks coach was different, was new. Wide receiver coach left. All that stuff. Out goes Mike McDaniel, in comes Anthony Lynn. The other thing too is 4/5 of the offensive line is new, brand new, either their first year starting or right. So when like looking at that, and maybe I shouldn't have used the word clunky. Maybe I should have said sharp or polished, right? Like you can't expect them to have that. Here's another perspective on a storyline that I want to talk about. Everyone's kind of got their panties in a bunch about, the connection between Deebo Samuel and Trey Lance. They're going to get it right. Deebo Samuel is an all-pro wide receiver. They are depending on each other just as much, one on the other, for each other's success. You want to talk about a storyline where you should be panicked or concerned? I just got done listening to Locked On Packers, right, with Peter Burskowski. And what he was saying, he was saying like, not to hit the panic button for Packers fans, but he was like, hey, the 2022 draft class, their new draft class, he's like, we haven't seen anything from that draft class at all. We're talking about, we're so far into the weeds about whether Deebo Samuel and Trey Lance are going to eventually build rapport and get on the same page. That's going to happen. It's huge, though, when you look at the Packers. They imagine if instead of trading up for Justin Love, they would have traded up for Justin Jefferson, right? And then if they don't get any productivity from their 22 draft class, they're really screwed, especially where they're at right now as a franchise. You look at the
you know why they won't be really screwed?
What's that?
Because they got Aaron Rodgers.
They won't be really, really, really screwed, but it's a different. If they would have drafted Justin Jefferson, right, instead of Jordan Love, would they have been in the Super Bowl, at least one Super Bowl appearance? Would they have had a Super Championship ring, right? If they don't have a really good draft, or if their draft picks don't contribute, Jordan Mason undrafted probably will contribute. Poe undrafted probably will contribute.
But hold on, Gammon. But so here's the thing, and I get you from that standpoint. I'd say the biggest thing is when you have Aaron Rodgers, the expectations are like, hey, you got to win a Super Bowl, right? He has one, and it was like 13 years ago, whenever it was. Now, I will say this though, regardless of who else is on the team, and I'm pretty sure most people agree with me in this, we don't really care about who else is on that team. But everyone knows that Packers will be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yes.
Regardless of anyone else that's on that roster. And the reason why is because of their quarterback. Now, again, he needs to win the big one to end, but that's more so for his legacy, not so much for how you feel about this team heading into every season, because the expectations, again, I talked about like LeBron James, but even for Aaron Rodgers, he does these little different things that's is a little weird, but for Aaron Rodgers, again, because he's on that roster, regardless of who else is on there, or even regardless of the draft class, that they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. That they're likely going to still go 13-4, 12-5, right? And it's because of their quarterback, regardless of the draft class or whatever. So now they need the draft class to be good so they can try to win it all. But just in the sense of being able to compete on a week in, week out basis, they're always going to be near the top.
Yep, absolutely. And just to clarify, the reason why I brought up the Packers was because perspective on storylines. Deebo Samuel, building that rapport, eventually work himself into shape where he starts catching some of these drop passes. He was a slow starter last year as far as some of the drop balls. That's going to pick up, I think, no different than last season. But I think, again, it's perspective. It's a big deal to us as an organization of this storyline, but we're kind of catastrophizing it. Whereas, if you look at some of these other organizations, Yeah, it was rough for me to say. But when you start looking at some of these other organizations, their storylines are a lot more damning and damaging than will an all-pro wide receiver build that rapport and start catching passes from his first year starting quarterback. And that's what I'm trying to say, and that's why I brought up the Packers was for
Okay.
that perspective. But yeah, that was pretty much that on that. And then also too, Croc, I got to throw it out there. I got to give myself some props. I called the Jordan Mason thing months ago, and now everyone's like, "Oh no, we got to let Serva go. We can't let this guy go."
What made you call the Mason thing?
So, and this really just came down to the research, and this is where I kind of get boring, and then people start asking me to leave hang up the phone. But
do you think?
so
I feel like I'm boring too, but for some reason they tune in.
The big factors. So number one was I looked at the once we left Mike McDaniel and then we picked up Anthony Lynn. Right there was going to be a clear delineation difference in the philosophy that we were going to be going towards the run game. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have time to get into every nook and cranny of the nuances for the offense like an offensive coordinator can. He doesn't. He's got to spread his time across the entire team. So number one, offensive philosophy was going to be changing. Number two, I looked at the trends. The trends from last season was that they were kind of having to go a little bit more into like a power running scheme versus an outside running scheme. Now, if you look at the splits, percentage-wise, they're going to show that, some of the run and pass was kind of even, but they were having to trend this way. Well, why was it trending more into a power, and why were they leaving the outside zone? Well, it comes down to the rule change on 26 May 2021, where they had to get rid of the cut block rule, or really remove it to where it's more so in a confined space, a couple yards outside, extending outside from the tackles, or your inline blocking tight end. If you look at some of the quotes from some of the offensive linemen when they were talking about during the Super Bowl about how great the outside zone blocking scheme was, it meant that like, hey, you could have a really tall 6'8", 6'7" tackle basically go out and then clear a whole line of would-be potential tacklers on your that are coming after your running back, and you could just do that, way outside the numbers and outside the hashes. There was no rule that was preventing that. Well, once they got rid of that, that made it really, 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 really hard to pull off an outside zone blocking scheme. The other thing too that I was looking at was I was trying to find a team that kind of underwent something as similar or as close to as similar as what the 49ers are going through right now. The closest thing that I could find was the 2013 Green Bay Packers. And the reason why that happened was because you had Mike McCarthy, who learned from Bob McKintrick, and Bob McKintrick was with the 49ers from 1979 to 1999. Again, this is just all off the dome. And he was a really big predecessor for the cut block in implementing that. And who was with the 49ers during some of those years?
Shanahan?
Mike McCarthy. McCarthy was on the 49ers coaching staff. And yes, Mike Shanahan as well. Mike McCarthy took that outside zone running scheme, right? Took that with him to the Packers. But then they drafted a guy named Eddie Lacy. Okay, Eddie Lacy, if you look at his measurables, he's 5'11", about 6 foot, 223 pounds, right? Somewhere around there. And then you look at his measurables, about 31-inch arm length, and then his 40 time was he ran like a 4.53. He was a bruising running back. So what they had
Eddie Lacy from Alabama?
Yes, Eddie Lacy from Alabama.
He was like 260 or something.
Well, right now he is. he wasn't when he was a rookie. But you look at it, and he had the ability to now again when he was a rookie, before he ate himself out of the league, he had the ability to kind of go ahead and take a play and then push it outside, right, a little bit. But he had that nice blend of power to go ahead and run that in between the tackles. Well, in comes in Anthony Lynn, right, and then you look at who Anthony Lynn had. So we're talking about a big difference between Bobby Turner and then Anthony Lynn. When you look at Anthony Lynn and then who he decided who he wanted to bring in, you have Ty Davis Price, And then you have George Mason. Now, guys, if you do your research and you get on Google, I'm not going to bore you guys with their height, weight, their 40 times, arm length, everything else. But if you look at that and you look at all three of them and you delete their names and then you just put up all three of their height, weight, stats, and everything else they did at the combine, it is like scary similar how close they are to Eddie Lacy. And in one of the articles that I wrote, I said that it's a lot easier, I believe, to find the Eddie Lacy's of the world than it is to find the next Frank Gore. So that's there was a little bit of science to method to my madness when I decreed that I thought Mason was going to be the guy who does it. The other reason why I thought Mason was going to do a great job was because the offensive line that he was running behind was one of the worst in college. It was a non-existent offensive line. So it gave him plenty of opportunities to show that he was a top-tier level pass blocking running back. Also, too, the holes that he had to run through, unlike the big premier schools like Trey Sermon, like Ty Davis Price, right? When you have quality NFL offensive linemen on a college level, the holes that they have are so much bigger. That's why sometimes you'll see, and Croc, I think you brought up a really good point about Ty Davis Price. You said, hey, during the 4th and 1, he made a little extra sidestep or whatever but you notice that he started cleaning it up as the game went along because you realize that right now the windows or the holes that he's running through are smaller than he remembers in college. For Jordan Mason, the holes that he's running through right now are bigger than they were in college. So I think there's kind of an interesting kind of unsaid dynamic that kind of goes on with that. But I know I just used up all my anytime minutes, and I appreciate you, Croc, for letting me give some word vomit on here.
Oh, you already know. All good, man. I appreciate the insight. All right. Then Gammon. All right, Gammon. He exited hella fast. All right, here we go now. Got my guy Medic Mike coming on. Medic Mike, good morning, bro.
What's happening, Croc? That towel is hideous. It's garbage.
So it's not a towel. It's a flag.
It's real, see, I couldn't even tell the difference. It's so goddamn ugly.
Real gang shit going on here. Laker gang. Let's go.
Terrible. Yeah, LeBron has the most scrutiny, but he also brought it on himself. And
hold on. Okay, listen.
I'm done with basketball.
We
can talk football now.
I am not okay. I feel like this is me with like Jimmy Garoppolo as well. I gotta defend him though, right? Where I'm not by any means a LeBron fan at all. I am not a LeBron fan at all. But I get it in the sense of, he brought it on himself because, he did the whole thing. It was weird, right? The whole, the decision and all that, like, shit was weird. I'm not gonna lie, it was weird. But he was under the microscope well before that. I think that's what drove him to do the whole decision thing with the kids
but he
and all that. It was weird.
He brought the extra attention. He's a narcissist. Everything's me without LeBron. Yeah. So anyway, over to the top 100.
Everything has to be, because if anything goes, anywhere he's gone, who's everybody going to talk about? Who are they going to look to if something doesn't go right? They're not going to talk about Mo Williams. They're not going to talk about Ilgauskas. Nah, they're going to say LeBron.
That's consistent with any great player.
Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers, we just talked about him, and there's a lot of... And I think after so long, you're going to get that, right? Like Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Top 3, for sure, right? I'd assume most people... Top 5, because, there are some legit quarterbacks in the NFL right now, but he 100% top 5, and some people might say he's the best. I still lean towards Patrick Mahomes, but he's right there in that realm. Tom Brady, all those guys, right? Aaron Rodgers, etc. Right now, nobody's really talked about Josh Allen and and not winning a championship. And I'd say because it's not 100% his fault, but at some point over the next couple years, he will start to get scrutinized if Buffalo doesn't win something.
So I don't think you can translate that to the basketball to football directly, because football is such a team sport. And if he underperforms, because he sets the standard for how people view him with his play. If he underperforms and consistently now starts to dip below that performance, then people are going to have something to talk about. If he's playing at that level,
James, who, hold on, LeBron James, stats, and I know you said about
Oh no.
but
Make sure you go over to the defensive side too when you look at stats, because there's two
okay,
sides of the
because
ball.
I was
There's two
going with this.
sides of
I
the
mean,
ball.
come on, the dude's like 40 years old down there, and he averaged 30 and 8 last year, 38 and 6.
Yeah, but that's because he's falling asleep. He's pulling a James Harden on defense. So I ain't
Okay,
trying to
all
hear
right,
that.
all right, saving his energy. I know Kobe would never do that, but yeah,
Exactly. No, he wouldn't.
R.I.P. Mamba.
Yeah. The top 100 though, trash every year. Every year it's trash. Every single year I look at this thing, it's trash. You got Mac Jones in the top 100 ahead of Kirk Cousins? What? How is Mac Jones in the top 100? Which leads me to my next point. There is,
yeah, okay. If he's in the top 100, again, I don't know exactly how they do the votes, so I don't know exactly how they do it. But I would say that I assume in no scenario should Mac Jones be ahead of Kirk Cousins.
he should not, in no scenario.
He should not.
No.
I don't even know how that, and I never even thought about that. But like now that you say it, he is ahead of him. That's wild.
Yeah.
How? Yeah, that's really wild. I didn't even put that together. I don't think that there's any way that he should be ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
He shouldn't even be on the list.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. If you have Mac Jones on that list, then you should have Jimmy Garoppolo on that list higher than Mac Jones. And you definitely should have Kirk Cousins a little bit higher than Jimmy G.
Yeah, absolutely. They do this every year. It almost feels like a popularity contest when you see some names and you're just like, I feel like you're on there because of name power. Bobby Wagner being so many spots ahead of Fred Warner. What? Like, have you watched Bobby Wagner the last
Bobby
2
Wagner
years?
was ahead of. See, I don't watch the top 100. I see it and I just know, okay, 49ers have a lot of great players.
No.
I wouldn't get just rankings in general, right? The rankings that don't have 49ers being a top 10 roster. I think it's a little weird, but I'll never make a big fuss out of it. I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. The top 100, the only people I can really, I only know where the 49er players are. I don't know anybody else. I thought it was a little weird. I did see Odell Beckham on there, and I'm like, it's been a few years since, Odell's got an Odell, right?
Yeah.
So when you say popularity contest, I get it. But yeah, I'd say my biggest pushback would probably be Mac Jones on it and higher than Kirk Cousins and over and not even Jimmy G being on there. If you're going to have Mac Jones on there. Now, if you say Mac Jones isn't on there and you don't have Jimmy G, then I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that kind of leads me to my next point. When you look at the slanted coverage from Mac to Trey, I mean, you could put whatever reasoning you want on there, whatever you think it is. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. Mac gets every excuse, every benefit of the doubt in the world thrown his way. Trey has started 2.5 games. He started 2 games and played, the second half of the Seahawks game. And, man, everything he does, picked apart. Which, by the way, I'm not worried about Deebo at all. If we remember, Trey had 5 touchdown passes last year. 3 of them went to Deebo. I ain't worried about that at all.
And Deebo had a rushing touchdown in one of the games as well.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. But, yeah, I don't get the practice thing. It's people just over and over and over. And it feels like almost it's gotten to the point where we have national writers and national analysts breaking down his practice and trying to come to conclusions of what he is and what he's going to be based on a practice. I mean, and that just kills me right there. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of overanalyzing kind of going on. And I think that's just in today's day and age with the coverage of things. This show, everything is so heavily covered that every twist and turn is covered. But people definitely move, I don't want to say move the needle for certain guys, but they definitely give certain guys more of the benefit of doubt. Because again, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but they do give certain people more of the benefit of doubt.
Right. Now, interior O-line, I heard Poe got some first-team reps this week. How?
So I heard, we talked about it on Locked On 49ers, and we tried to cover it as well as possible. Did hear that from different kind of beat writers that there was something there with him getting some type of reps. My guy Brian Peacock has been very confident with saying that Poe is better than Aaron Banks. Now, again, I don't know. I haven't watched the guys closely enough to be able to confirm or deny that, but I have watched a lot of Burford. I know Burford is better than Aaron Banks, but I haven't watched Banks and Poe enough to pin those guys against each other. But Peacock feels very strongly about that. So the fact that he would be getting some reps, I would say maybe the coaching staff is seeing the same thing that Peacock is seeing.
Because that's what I was going to ask, if you thought he had a chance of overtaking Banks, but sounds like you haven't watched that battle specifically that much. I'm also worried about that right side of that line, man. If McGlinchey isn't there, and I remember people were dogging McGlinchey and all this, man, Niner fans ain't never been so happy when McGlinchey is back in that starting lineup as they are right now. Because that right side has looked like a turnstile. And I know Kyle can, play design and draw some stuff up to keep Trey moving out the pocket, to have some quick hitting stuff and to really kind of mitigate the pass rush, but you can only do that so much and you can only do it for so long. So what do you think we're going to do with that right side of that line if McGlinchey continues to, have these setbacks or knee flare-ups?
I'd say you probably do what any – what can you do? But hope that every day the guy gets 1% better. Like that's all you can do. And if it has to be McKivitz there, then you just got to hope, like, McKivitz already been in the league a few years now. Like, we need you to step up. And I'd say this, one thing about the 49ers, and they've done a good job of just figuring out how to get by. Now, again, there could be a play where it just goes to shits. But for the most part, over in the entirety of a game, they do enough to figure out how to get by with certain limitations. And you and I both, we spent a lot of time talking about the secondary last year. I thought they did a really good job covering up not having the ideal situation at the cornerback position. I think even on offensive line, it's a little different because, O-line, almost like cornerback, is a lot of like reacting. And if you just can't play right tackle, you just can't play right tackle.
Yeah.
But I remember the first year, 49ers had to play like Zane Beatles at right tackle, right? Like Kyle Shanahan's like first year. And they figured out a way to, even with that, and less than ideal offensive line, when Jimmy Garoppolo came, they were able to get wins. So, again, not to say, I wouldn't worry about the right side because it can let you down at any moment and probably at the biggest moment, especially if Mike McGlinchey's out there. People talk about Mike McGlinchey like he just sucks. He doesn't suck.
No.
Like, I think I had, who was it? I think it was somebody in my, there was somebody, and I know we got the Ghost of Judah in here. I'm not even going to entertain him right now. But there was somebody on social media, and Ghost of Judah, this has nothing to do with you. But there was somebody on social media that put out, like, everybody said, because, 49ers played Bears week 1. And most people are saying, 49ers going to win, right? I think they're like 7-point favorites or something close to that. Well, and for good reason. All right, but there was somebody like, everybody says the 49ers roster is so much better than the Bears. And he did like this thing where he's like, it's like more even. And it's like, dude, like, it's not. And the guy tried to mention that, offensive line, like Bears offensive line is better. I mean, they would have to prove it. I'm not saying that they can't be better this year. They just would have to prove it. I haven't seen anything to say that the Bears offensive line is better than the 49ers. Right now, week 1, maybe I'll be singing a different tune. Or even third game of preseason, because you'll see a lot of starters. But I say all that to say, he brought up Mike McGlinchey. And he's like, Mike McGlinchey's a bust. I'm like, no, he's not. Now, is Mike McGlinchey, has his production been worthy of what you ideally want out of the number 9 overall pick? I would say no. But if he was a second-round pick, you'd say, hey, that was a good second-round pick.
Well.
Like, because he's not trash. He just might not be worth the number 9 overall pick.
Yeah.
Like, he's a terrific run blocker. And most snaps, he's going to hold his own at right tackle pass blocking. But there's going to be a couple plays that look a little weird, right? There's going to be a play where he gets bull rush into the quarterback. There's going to be a play where he gets knocked over and he's on the ground. But outside of those couple plays, he's a pretty solid right tackle. So, yeah, there's a lot of fans that notice those 1 or 2 plays where it's like, man, that's like, man, we need to do better. And it's like, yeah, ideally you want more out of your number 9 overall pick. but he's not bad. So when he is out and you see a guy like McKivitz, it's like, well, that's what it looks like when a guy is kind of a turnstile right tackle.
Right. And I think tackles have that same problem as corners, where the time you notice them, typically it's something really good or really bad. It's something glaring. I mean, corners out there on the island, tackles can be out there kind of on an island against an edge rusher. And McGlinchey's been great against the run. He's had problems anchoring against, the pass rush. And I think that's something that you're right. You would expect more out of a second or third round pick, and not necessarily the number 9, in which you would want a more complete product. But
I brought in Terradome because we were talking about McGlinchey, and he said McGlinchey ain't
it. What's going on, Terradome? Why is McGlinchey not it?
Man, McGlinchey scared me. I just seen too many instances where
hold on, Terradome. Hold on, I gotta remove you. My bad, Terradome. There's something going on with your Wi-Fi right now. Let's see if we bring him back. Let's see if it's getting a little bit better. See, he's not even popping up at first.
Okay.
No, you're in the Matrix. All right, hold up. I think you're a little glitchy right now, Terradome. You might have to reset the Wi-Fi. All right, but anyways, go ahead. I know I kind of threw you off. Real quick, we have a cool question here from Gammon. He says, Mike, be honest, how many picks for Fields?
We will have 2 picks week 1. 2 picks.
All right.
2 picks, yeah. And speaking of that question, why do you think Mosley is not getting the respect he deserves? For since last year and going into this year, and even the year before, I thought the only corner better than him in our entire division was Jalen Ramsey. I think Mosley's a damn good corner.
Yeah, I think the year before, I think 2020, it was a little up and down for him, but definitely 2021, he played very well. Went out there, went healthy. I think because, one, he's an undrafted guy, so it takes a little longer to really acknowledge how well those guys are doing. And then he has to string together multiple years. So I think that's the thing, where I don't think we've seen him play well, right? He came in 2019, there weren't the high expectations, and it's man, he's playing well, but still had a kind of back and forth with Witherspoon. And then 2020, I just thought it wasn't the greatest of years for him. But then 2021, he did play very well, but missed time because of injury. So he needs to be more consistent in the sense of what you're getting from him on the play-to-play basis, game to game, and year to year. I think if he has a good year again this year, next year he'll get more notoriety.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, shoot, that's all I got for you today, Croc.
All right, man.
Is Terradome coming back on to defend McGlinchey?
Yeah, he's on here. All right, I'm gonna get you off, and I'm gonna get him on. I got a few other guys.
All right, Croc.
All right, here we go. We got Terradome.
Not bad.
Nah, it's not better.
Man, what's up?
Yeah, I don't know why it is freezing and everything. Sorry, Terradome. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi. The Ghost of Judas said Terradome's Wi-Fi is like Trey Lance's arm, weak as fuck. All right, here we go. We got Wolf. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good, bro. Fresh off work, ready to go to sleep.
Oh man, so you work the night shift?
Yes, sir. I get off at 7 in the morning.
I'm making millions to work the night shift. Shout out to Drizzy Drake.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Okay. I see you. Hey, so talking about McGlinchey, man. I like this Tayshaun Gibson signing. One reason being that just the main reason being that Jimmy Ward, I don't want him rushed back from injury, and I feel like the whole situation with McGlinchey was a mistake as far as he got hurt in the preseason game, right?
I don't even know when he got hurt, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he tweaked his knee in the preseason game, from what I remember. And from the get, I was like, why is he taking so many reps, man? They should be easing him back in more, I think. I know they gave him some days off here and there, but, they signed Jordan Mills, and he was looking really good on one-on-ones and stuff like that. And McKivitz is taking snaps in his place now as well, and he knows the playbook better, so that makes sense. Jordan Mills is doing real good in those one-on-ones, but he needs to get it assimilated with that playbook, right? But the whole situation should have been avoided, I think, with McGlinchey being eased in and just taking reps here and there more than just being a starter right away. And I feel maybe they're kind of learning from that and doing that with Jimmy Ward now and Tayshaun Gibson.
Yeah,
What do you
hopefully.
think?
I mean, you bring in a veteran, you know a little bit more what you're going to get from him. 49ers did that last year. Was it Wilson? Wilson they brought in last year? They had a veteran.
They brought Norman.
Well, yeah, no, but at the safety position
Yeah.
too. I think it was Tavon Wilson they had. So, you know, you want to
Okay.
bring in guys that you feel like can I get by with him?
But not just that, I
it's
just
not gonna
don't want.
be ideal, but
Yeah, I just hope they don't rush Jimmy Ward back in, man, because I don't. Like I said, I saw that coming with McGlinchey, and you know, I think we could get by a couple weeks without Ward just to take it slow with him. I think that's the best way. So, and then Tayshaun Gibson is a proven veteran, like you said, and a ball hawk as well. So that's some good stuff right there.
oh shoot. Oh.
Uh-oh. Not a cramp.
Go ahead, keep talking. Caught a cramp. Yeah. All right. See me trying to drink this water, man. I had a crazy workout this morning.
Hell
All
yeah,
right,
that's
I'm
what's
good.
up.
I know
That's
every
what's
time
up.
you get on, it's like yesterday I had to use the restroom. Today and now I'm cramping. I'm good though. Well, you
I
got a
know
mic set up, so you got a podcast?
Yeah, bro, that's all I was telling you. Last time when I was telling you, you told me to slide in your DMs, and I was
Yeah, pause.
I was kind of waiting until I upgrade my camera and stuff like that, because the camera that I had was kind of crap, and I got this poof thing for the microphone now and stuff too. So
I probably
I've
need
been
one
kinda-
of those because every time I say a P word, it's popping. But go ahead.
right, that's what I'm saying, and you can hear my kids in the background and stuff all the time. But yeah, I just had to upgrade it. I'm tweaking a few things, kind of getting my stuff situated here, and then I'm gonna jump in your DMs and kind of correlate some of that stuff with you. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I started the Niner Gang Wolfcast, but yeah, bro, just that.
Hey, you need
as far as-
you need a guest, man. Just hit me and I'll come on.
All right, for sure, bro. I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, that was the only thing. Oh, I like your take on the whole practice thing as far as the stats, because really at the end of the day, Trey Lance being so fresh last year, I really liked his poise, man. And stats or not, he passed the eye test for me. I gained a lot of confidence just off watching him. And with Garoppolo, yeah, he had his moments where he showed some really badass things, but overall in a game, I would get the feeling just off the eye test that he was just holding us back a lot. And
I wouldn't say holding the 49ers back. I would say not adding to the 49ers like you ideally would want your quarterback to be able to do. I'd say that.
yeah, he wasn't helping us.
Holding back to me is more so like you're just like you can't win with this guy, and that's holding it back. Like I'd say, yeah, that, so I mean, Super Bowl appearance and the NFC Championship game. It's hard for me to say Jimmy held them back, but I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to kind of verbalize it a different way.
Well, the reason
You could see that clearly. There's certain areas where you would like him to be a little bit better, for a team that had such high aspirations.
Yeah, and that's the reason I say that, because the reason I say holding back is because I don't think he let the team live up to its full potential, in other words. Right?
Which is Super Bowl, which is,
Yes.
that's tough. But,
That's what,
I mean, again, I come off as like defending them, but
no, I feel you,
yeah,
bro.
but you got Aaron Rodgers there, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2009. So I think it's just tough. It's hard for me to explain. I got to figure out a different way to explain what I'm trying to say.
I get it.
I get
it,
what
bro.
you're saying.
Especially because he shows so many good things, but then he has those boneheaded mistakes. But he has flashes where he's like a gunslinger, man, and it's crazy that you get night and day with him. It's weird. He's hit or miss.
Yeah,
And I just wish, because I mean, these players, even though we criticize them sometimes and we want the best out of them, and maybe it doesn't come off the right way, but I would have loved to see that out of Garoppolo, but it just wasn't the case. So I have to call it like I see it. And Trey Lance, I feel like he brings that more potential to our squad. So I'm really confident and excited for that. So he passed that eye test, and that's why I have that confidence in him. But yeah, bro, I'll let you go. Let you get on to these other callers. I appreciate you. Hope you have a good rest of the day, huh?
All right, man. You have a good one.
All right, likewise.
All right, here we go. And last but not least, he's been very patient. My guy Brian. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Hey, morning, Croc. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, I'm chilling, cramping up and stuff, but I'll be all right.
For sure, I feel you. I'm cramping up in this truck right now. But hey, man, I'm glad to finally get to talk to you, bro. I respect what you do, man. I love the show. You do a great job, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, to go further off than what that guy was saying about Jimmy G, this is how I look at Jimmy G, right? He's efficient. He's a good quarterback. He's solid. Great leader, all that stuff. But in order to win it all with him, you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to catch lightning in a bottle, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I agree with that because a lot of people will say, oh, you can't win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's like, you can.
Yeah.
You just need everything around him to be more perfect for that game.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult when you're talking about the two best teams in the league in that moment.
Yes.
Right? So that's difficult.
Yeah. And we had that moment. That was the thing. We had it. It was right there in our grasp. And, you know, he fumbled the bag. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Jimmy had a chance, you know. So that's why I don't get why people are mad. It's like, we gave him his chance. We had the opportunity to seal the deal, you know. So, but now, yeah, I just feel like it's time to move on. Honestly, I felt like Trey should have took over after the Houston game last season. I felt like
I disagree, and I disagreed in the moment. My reasoning for that is because, you know, it was a must-win game. You got to go on the road to LA, and my thought process all along was, if Jimmy can throw, if Jimmy could throw, then you know he needs to start, because you know the last thing you want is you know, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, which they have a good defensive coordinator, just throwing everything, the kitchen sink, everything at Trey Lance, and him not knowing how to handle that in that moment. And maybe if you had a couple games leading to the playoffs, I get it, but just for that last game, and again, he did a terrific job against the Texans, but the Rams were definitely going to be a different beast. And I felt more comfortable with Jimmy if he can throw. Yeah. Now, if he just couldn't throw, then all right. But I mean, he looked the same to me. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, I get that, but I don't know. I guess I just saw like enough in Lance in that Texans game where I was comfortable with it. But I get you. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of different variations, and they could have hit blitzes from Trey and whatnot, made his life difficult.
It's just things you just haven't seen, right? And he's going to deal with that this year, but they have time to kind of adjust, and you know, you get to see how he progresses throughout the year. Yeah. But that's tough. That's tough. Like there's no coincidence. Yeah. The quarterbacks from the rookie class last year had the year that they did, and you know, all of them. I mean, everybody talks about, you know, the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and I know and Justin Fields, and a lot of these guys. I think all of those guys I just named threw more interceptions than touchdowns. But it's because of a lot of, you know, people might say, well, the teams or whatever, but ultimately it's I think Davis Mills threw more touchdowns, and then obviously Mac Jones. But Mac Jones, I mean, he threw 7 interceptions over his last four games or whatever. So I mean, like they throw a lot of different stuff at you, and you just don't know necessarily how guys are going to handle it. And I thought with Jimmy Garoppolo, at the very least, again, if he can throw, right now, if it was just he just can't throw, then I get it. But it looked the same to me. So.
Yeah. But my last thing where I wanted Trey to play last season is because also it was dope that we went on that run, right, to the NFC Championship. You always got to love a good deep playoff run. But also it just added all this pressure to Trey this year, where all those you know, the Jimmy supporters and stuff, that's what they're sitting there waiting on. They're just waiting for that moment, like, oh, we didn't make the NFC Championship, we didn't make it this far, and you know they're gonna grill this kid when it's like, dude, like, give the kid a chance, like, you know, that's so unrealistic. You're not expecting that from Fields, and you know, of course, they don't got the same roster that Trey does, but still, it's just so unfair to expect that from the young kid. So I guess that's just part of my reason where I'm just like, man, we put a lot on his shoulders by making that deep run at the same time, you know?
Yeah, so that was my thing, where it's like, man, you would have liked to see him just be able to come into a situation after 49ers only had, 6 wins the year before, missed the playoffs. The expectations wouldn't have been nearly as high, but, it is what it is, and it feels like Trey Lance is ready for the challenge. It feels like he has good head on his shoulders, doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to what's being said. He's said it numerous times. The only thing that matters is the guys in his locker room and his coaches and how they feel about him. I guess from that standpoint, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny, but he can handle it. He's a grown up, and it feels like he's mature enough to handle it. So we'll see though. We'll see.
Yeah, true. I got a question for you. Have you ever seen a young prospect like this talk so mature and be so well spoken this early in their career? I can't think of someone who reminds you of how Trey Lance is right now.
I'd say I don't know. I've never really paid attention to it in that way, but I would say it is very impressive how he's handled the scrutiny and how he still comes off as a very mature 22-year-old, because I remember what I was doing at 22 and I wasn't ready to be the face of an organization, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't like that at 22, I guarantee you. Yeah, man. But that's all I got on Trey. But another thing, man, what Niner Nation's got to do this year, the faithful, we got to hype up Nick Bosa any chance we get, man. Because this dude, I feel like he doesn't get the love he deserves because he's so soft-spoken, and quiet, in that regard. So because he doesn't hype himself up, he doesn't do all that talking. He just shows up on the field and he puts in the work. And, that doesn't get the love that it truly deserves. So I feel like, dude, the 49ers page, Instagram, Twitter, they got to be promoting him, whenever they can. I feel like if he does do this, dude, easily, he's a Defensive Player of the Year worthy candidate, hands down.
Yeah.
If he gets that backing, that promotion, man, I'm like, dude, this dude's going to win it. I'm almost willing to put the money down on him right now. I already got money on us to win the Super Bowl this year, but Nick Bosa, that's about to be my next one.
Yeah, well, the 49ers' odds to win the Super Bowl, as far as the risk and reward, just not great enough for me. But I'll check right before the season. I'll check and see what it's at.
Yeah. I think I put like $250 down on us. I think.
What was it? What'd you get it at? Plus what?
I got it at like plus 1,800 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got it early though, before like training camp, mini camp, all that. I jumped on it fast.
Let me see if I can pull it up right now.
Yeah. I'm probably if I get it, which I'm hoping I am, I'm gonna come up on like $3K. Get some racks. And just show you how crazy I am too. I threw money on Trey Lance getting MVP. At the same time.
Right now it's plus 1,600. That's I'd put that money down, and it's actually pretty good when you look at it. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams ahead of the Niners, so they got the 9th best odds. Actually tied with 2 other teams. So really, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th best odds tied with 3 teams. So.
Okay, yeah. That's about what it was when I made the bet too. It's pretty similar.
Plus 1,600 though. Yeah, maybe I'll go put a couple hundred on that.
Yeah. So the other thing I was like, man, I don't get why. All right, so Kyle Shanahan throughout the whole offseason was talking about like, oh yeah, Alex Mack. We were pretty sure what he's gonna do. So I feel like why didn't they address the center position more than they did? I get they said like, oh, we're comfortable with Brunskill and Brindle, but man, I don't know. So far, it doesn't seem like it. I'm not seeing anything good out of the center position right now. Yeah, that's honestly the main thing that's got me worried this season. And it's like, especially the zone scheme that we run, center position is the most important part of the O-line for what you run out of that.
Again, and this is maybe me just being too high on the 49ers coaching staff, but typically, even when I disagree with something like you, like I agree, like you, they've made it known that, hey, the center position for them is a very premier position.
Yeah.
So knowing that, you would expect them to put more resources into that center position. maybe they had their eyes on certain guys that they wanted to draft and the board didn't fall the way that they wanted it to. Maybe there wasn't that free agent guy out there. I don't know. But I typically give them the benefit of doubt with that type of stuff. I feel like they've earned that to where I'd say most years I feel like they could do something different on the offensive line and they still figure out a way to kind of get by. And last year, there were areas where I'm like, man, they're not going to try to improve here. Right guard, you got Brunskill, but it was like, hey, the offensive line relative to around the league was still one of the better ones. So I hear you. I definitely would have thought that they would put more priority on the center position. But I usually take a wait and see approach when it comes to certain things that they do with the roster. Now, I'll tell you how I feel about certain things. I've talked about how I thought it was ridiculous to draft a running back in the third round based on the production that they got out of either later round or undrafted guys.
That shot of you yesterday, you got caught on TV, that was all of us. I was the same way, man. I was baffled. I was like, again? I don't get it. But although I'm starting to like TDP, and it's looking like they made the right call with how Trey Sermon's looking as of late, too.
Yeah, I like TDP, but I still feel like they could have gotten whatever production they'll get out of TDP. I think they could have gotten with a 6th or 7th round or undrafted guy, which most people like. Jordan Mason. Jordan
Mason, right?
Mason, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Mason. That kid's looking like a truth.
Yeah, right,
yeah. My buddy, man, my buddy Justin from he watches Brad Graham with me and stuff. Sourdough Squad. Shout out to them. But yeah, this guy instantly, the second we signed him, he was telling all of us from the get-go. He said Jordan Mason is the guy. He said this is that dude. He's making the squad guaranteed. He already bought the jersey off top, and I was just like, this dude's wild. I was like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like Mason. So again, that's the stuff that kind of makes me scratch my head about taking a running back third round. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. And the other thing, you could probably speak to this since you've been at training camp. I'm hearing too, because they're not showcasing it in the preseason games. I'm hearing Jordan Mason is the best pass catcher on the team out of the backfield.
Oh yeah, see, I don't know. I don't really. I didn't see him catch any passes when I was at the practices, but but not to say I didn't see it. I don't think I paid attention to like that because it's hard. Like there's a lot going on during practice, so you kind of try to focus on something like a little bit more specific. And Mason catching the ball at the backfield wasn't something I was really focused on, but I definitely will keep an eye on that. Whenever he gets in the game and kind of just what it looks like.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. Yeah, man. Hey, that's all I got for you, Croc. Hey, it was great talking to you. Thanks for having me on your show, boss.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on. Yep. All right, good stuff there from my guy, Brian J. Shout out to him. And shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. Here we go. Got some super chats. E-Man is going to be noticed as a top 10 cornerback this year. It would probably be after this year. So, again, he had a good year last season. If he stacks another good year, which again he's been performing well in practice, and there were 3 interceptions thrown by Trey Lance yesterday in practice. Well, 2 of them had something to do with Emmanuel Mosley. One where he broke up a pass and it got tipped in the air to Hufanga, and then another one that he just picked off. So he's primed to have that type of year. And I mean, undrafted rookie free agent, that's some big time stuff. Here we go. Goes to Judy. He says, give $1 to this. Give $1 of this to Pterodon's Wi-Fi. Go Bears. I hear you. And then last one, Croc, you're a real one getting on fan streams. Your schedule is busy as F. That instead of viewing Wolf as comp, you extend a hand. Yeah, man, I mean, I feel like there's a lane for everybody. I think everybody in this podcast game, everybody has their things that they do and their different niches, I guess you could say. And I just feel mine is a little different in the sense of how I try to provide analysis. And not to say, the whole competition thing and whatnot, but I just think I do it a little different. So to me, I don't see anybody that's in the same exact lane as me with the perspective that I try to bring. So yeah, there's no point in trying to compete against other guys. But I appreciate the contribution from all y'all. I appreciate the contribution from all of y'all. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in to this show today. We went an hour and a half. We had over 400 people at one time. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, set the notification bell, all that good stuff. Appreciate all y'all, and we'll be back tomorrow right here, San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.